So today I wanted to discuss some features that Battlefield 1 still needs. It's no secret the game in some areas is still lagging behind on functionality compared to its predecessors, and I think there is room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. However, these suggestions haven't come from me today, they're coming from the Battlefield community. I tweeted out this morning and asked my followers to suggest some features they felt Battlefield 1 still needed, and the responses poured in. I picked out 5 that I think are relevant and achievable at this stage of the game's life, and ones I think the wider community would likely agree with too. So let's dive into it. We're going to start off with a suggestion from Kelly. She would like to see the ability for players to accept or decline revives. Sometimes, and I'm sure you've all been part of a scenario like this, a player will revive you when it really wasn't safe to do so, or they revived you right in line of sight of an enemy and they're looking directly at you. Rather than having the only option to accept a revive to try and get into some cover, an option could be added to decline the revive and then be taken back to the spawn screen where you can choose your own respawn location. This is a feature that was present in Battlefield 4 and allowed players who were given bad revives a chance to get out of the situation and not gift another enemy a free kill. Now in Battlefield 1, we have the skip revive option, which means you can skip the revive before you've been revived, but we don't have an option once we've been revived to decline it and be taken back to the respawn screen. We have the option before we've been revived, but not after, so it would be nice if those could be tied together. My thoughts as to why this isn't currently included in Battlefield 1 might be down to that smoother gameplay loop that DICE has tried to create for the game and for all players to feel included. Rather than sending yourself back to the respawn screen and almost admitting that that player got the one up on you and having to respawn directly, they chose to keep it so that players remained alive as long as possible. Whatever the reason may be though, I do agree with Kelly that seeing a decline revive option would be helpful. It would also have a tactical advantage as well. Sometimes going back to the spawn screen will allow you to respawn at another location and possibly help your team capture another objective or take out a machine gunner who's pinning you down somewhere. Or even spawn right back onto the player who was attempting to revive you, but this time you're behind cover with him, so you don't get shot immediately. The second suggestion comes in from a good friend of mine, Beardy Rory, and he'd like to see the implementation of a gun range. Now this is something that we did see in Battlefield 4, it was called the test range, and in Battlefield Hardline as well, but it didn't make it into Battlefield 1, and likely that's due to the amount of time and the cost it would have taken to produce one, but I agree that having something offline, a practice area if you will, has a place in a Battlefield game. We have some incredibly detailed weapons and skins in Battlefield 1, and we can't really show these off fully or even get a good look at them. We do have an inspect function, but that's only built into the menu system and it gives you a flat 2D look at all of your guns. Other games like Counter-Strike and Call of Duty, they have a dedicated button in-game that plays an animation so that you can see your gun in its full glory. I'd really like to see something like that in Battlefield 1. Rory also wants to see weekly challenges and tiered battle pack missions as well to offer more for players to do. And this is a big pressure point for myself as well, because we're now past the 1 year mark for this game and the progression is still pretty awful in this game. All of the attempts that have been made with various dog tags, random battle packs, and even the service assignments are all fairly small add-ons with no huge impact behind them. They all feel like single items that kind of fade away after a couple of weeks of implementation. There's no persistent layer to the progression besides your soldier rank and class ranks, many of which have already been hit at the top end now by multiple players. I'm max rank on my soldier and the 4 main soldier classes as well, so really I need more things to do, and I know there are plenty of other players out there that need more to do as well. The third feature suggestion today comes in from Art, another Battlefield YouTube creator, and he wants to see a proper in-game team balancer implemented into the game. Now, I'm sure that most players of Battlefield 1, if not every single player of Battlefield 1, has experienced a game where they just got curb stomped by the other team, that team beat you by a massive margin, But for some reason, the next round, the server is still just as unbalanced as it was before, with one team being stacked with really good players and the other not having that many good players at all. I'm sure most people would expect some sort of shuffle to occur after a round finishes to make the next round a fairer fight overall, but sometimes that just doesn't happen in Battlefield 1. Also, we have the issue of joining a server, and for some reason, almost every player joining is then assigned to just one team, rather than being split across both. I joined a server last week, 64-man Conquest. One team had 32 players, and the other had just 24 players. And the server did nothing about it to try and get people moved around and to even up the teams. And surely the server must be thinking, I need to even up the numbers, but it just doesn't happen. When players die, in previous Battlefield games where we had functionality to allow team balancing, some people would be switched over to balance the numbers. And sure, that's not ideal to move people during the middle of a match, but rather than having a really poor round for one team and a really easy round for another team because they're stacked with good players, why not improve the round overall and balance it out? And the same thing can be said if one team just simply has more players than the other. That's hardly fair. Surely the server should go, right, that player's just died, and the other team has way less players, so I'm going to move that person over. Why doesn't that happen in Battlefield 1? In previous Battlefield games, at least on the PC anyway, we had the support of third-party servers and the presence of server plugins that could automate certain functions, so issues like team balancing weren't hugely prominent. But now that that flexibility has been removed by DICE, and it is on them to provide the servers and the infrastructure, it seems the community right now don't feel the team balancing is good enough in its current implementation. Moving on now to feature suggestion number 4. This comes in from Fedorov Autoload. Awesome name, by the way. And he thinks that there should be different player count numbers for all game types in Battlefield 1. And I alluded to this in a previous video last week, which I think didn't hit the sub boxes properly. So if you check back on my channel, you'll see this point exactly in another video. But I think offering 32-man rush servers or 48-man conquest options would be something that the community would really like to see. And I think it's 100% something that DICE should be offering, especially for rental servers in Battlefield 1, where players do have a bit more control of what type of experience they want to create. Now, I can understand limiting the player counts for official DICE servers, where the experience is official, but giving players more options for rental servers, especially when rental servers really aren't worth it at the moment, that would be awesome. As Fedorov Autoload mentions, previous titles had these features, but Battlefield 1 hasn't been graced with them so far. And lastly, number 5, this is an extension to a feature that's currently active, but I think it's still quite relevant actually. This one comes from Prairie Prophet, another great name. He wants to see more options added to the map vote system, maybe even moving it up to 4 options in total. He also mentions the auto balancer that Art mentioned earlier, so that's clearly something that people want changing too. I'd actually like to see a random box added to the map vote system, allowing people to pick a third option if neither of the maps that have shown up are ones that they want to choose. And I think this might be something that also helps some of those less popular maps show up from time to time, because clicking random could pick any map in the game. Those less popular maps are still there to be played, and it might have been a while since you tried it and you just had a bad game the last time you played, and therefore you don't want to pick that map again. Having a random option could help throw up some of those less popular maps. Now, I will just say briefly, we are coming towards the end of Battlefield 1's life cycle. We're nearly at the 3rd DLC, the 4th will be released in early 2018, and of course, we know the next Battlefield game is coming in 2018. So major features are unlikely to make it to Battlefield 1, and that's why I chose these 5 today from the community, because I think they're achievable with the time left for Battlefield 1. But I want to leave the conversation open to you guys today. Leave some comments down below, suggest some more features that could be added, because I'd love to get involved in the conversation and just hear some of your opinions in general. It's great to get you guys here on the channel giving your opinions so that I can comment on them, as much as it is for me to express my own opinions sometimes. But thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as I said, leave me some comments down below and I'll try and read as many as I can. But until next time, My name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.